Well, hey everyone, it's Joe Pelayo with the top 5 news. It's good to see you. Before we start, I'm going to play a couple of few of the media assets that we've got that have been sent in to us and that some of our team have done here. I think you'll enjoy some of these. So enjoy a few 5-second special effects or um, whatever you call them. What do you call that? Intros. Here we go.
So tonight we're doing the top five stories. And folks, I have to tell you, there's never been anything like it.
You're watching the top 5 news.
Yes, I would like to, but I don't think you watch the top 5 news.
You know, CNN. I wish you could just be a little more like your brother. Top 5 news.
Tonight I'll be sharing with you the news and then adding my ownership group's propaganda to it.
Let's get out of here, go back to my place and watch the top 5 news.
At 5, I'm looking for a steak, some whole milk, and the top 5 news.
Hey, there you are. Good to see you. Thanks for coming in today, everybody. Have a seat, and we're going to do the top 5 news show. We give you all the news that you can use and nothing that might make you confused, nothing that would give you the blues. There's 5 stories in 5 minutes that you can use. So if your career's in high gear or if you're just sitting in a box checking your stocks and about to say game over to the work game, anywhere in between, I'd like to suggest a news show with a very practical name. And once you watch it, you'll never be the same. It's the top 5 news. Good evening, everyone. Tonight we have major Alzheimer's breakthrough restores loss memory function. Scott Adams celebration of life draws tribute from prominent figures. Super Bowl, Seahawks versus the Patriots rematch, epic showdown, and Grok under EU scrutiny for AI-generated content. And Alex Pruitt in the news. 2 stories, 2 narratives, 1 story. Good evening, America. This is the top 5 news show. Straight talk, weekdays, fast, factual. Let's get into it. Number 5 today, major Alzheimer's breakthrough. A viral post by Owen Gregorian commenting on an article in Science News is driving intense discussion focused on a major new study published by the National University of Singapore. Researchers there have discovered that a natural aging molecule, calcium alpha coagulate, can repair key memory processes affected by Alzheimer's disease. This is big. The compound has been shown to improve communication between the brain cells and restore early memory abilities that typically are the first to fade and even enhance synaptic plasticity in Alzheimer's patients. The discovery shows a powerful new strategy, slowing cognitive aging and protecting the brain before it can have damage, and potentially a safer option since it's already in our bodies. Story number 4 today, the celebration of life for Scott Adams draws tributes from prominent figures in culture news. A heartfelt celebration was held yesterday for Scott Adams, the iconic creator of Dilbert, who passed away January 13th, age 68, after battling prostate cancer. Hosted by Greg Gutfield and live streamed across the platforms like X, YouTube, Rumble, and Locals, with 431,000 viewing the event. It's the equivalent of 6 or 9 football stadiums packed full of people. Enduring honor and legacy, speakers included President Trump, Shelley Adams, Joe Pelayo, his biographer, Walter Kern, Naval Ravikant, Jack Posobiec delivered moving tributes highlighting Adams' groundbreaking work in cartooning, his mastery of persuasion, and his sharp commentary on social endeavors, unconventional path to success, and freedom of speech, and even in the event of cancellation. You know, my experience with Scott Adams was he was a real truth teller. You know, and they painted him, somehow he got painted as he got canceled for something that he said, and it was just one thing. And earlier today, if you want to see it, I posted him a a video of him that would debunk it in one shot, I think. But they censored him, and I'll tell you what he said was there was basically a survey that said something like 25% of Black people don't want to be around white people. Okay, and they took that out of context, and he would often say 25% of people would get the wrong vote, on what color the sky was, right? That was just the default vote. But he made the comment that if 25% of people hated white people, that the white people ought to get out of those neighborhoods, or something like that. And it got blown out of proportion, and we ended up, it was in that era that we were in where you couldn't speak freely about a lot of different things. And hopefully we're coming out of that. But, just one example was, I'll give you my example. The first time that I heard Scott Adams on the air, he would do a morning show, summary of the news, was during COVID time. They were asking us to shut down in our houses, stay in your house, right? And don't go anywhere. And, I'm trying to protect us, but it got a little bit Orwellian. And I remember there was one day where I went to work, even though I wasn't allowed to. And I went to the Walmart because I was allowed to shop there, but not at the smaller stores because those were much more dangerous. And, I was just going through this very weird day. And I remember, I distinctly remember I drove through the McDonald's and I got my order. Yeah, I admit I eat some McDonald's sometimes. But anyway, I got my order, and the lady took my bag of plastic bag, put the salt and the ketchup in the plastic bag, and then handed me the plastic bag like she was protecting me from something. And I just started thinking about that. Well, now she's touched the bag and the ketchup and the salt, whereas before she would have only touched the ketchup and the salt. It just, a lot of the things we were doing, they were good meaning, but they weren't making any sense, if you know what I mean. So anyway, amidst all of this, Scott Adams began to ask some very, very penetrating and thoughtful questions. For example, well, if we all shut down in our houses and we, let's say, gain 5 or 10 pounds, how does that affect our health, in the long run? And then if people go to don't go to a doctor's appointment because they don't go to the routine doctor's appointment, because that was, remember, they shut down the routine to save room for to prevent people from getting COVID. Well, as we began to find out that COVID wasn't deadly in a lot of cases, there were other deadly diseases that we were fighting. So, how many people maybe didn't find a cancer because they didn't go to the hospital? He started asking questions like that would make you kind of think about it. And perhaps that played into his cancellation. He was canceled nationwide. However, he made an epic, Phoenix rising from the ashes comeback, where he began his own podcast. And as evidenced yesterday, just on one of the social networks, there was 450,000 people that watched the legacy, the honor of Scott Adams. So, a lot of the mainstream media, they're going to tell you he was a bigot and he was racist and a KKK member, whatever they want to say. None of that's true. And if you don't believe me, you can go to my ex profile. Posted a video with him laughing and joking with a Black individual. And racists don't usually do that. I don't know. Maybe I don't know. I don't know a lot of racists. Do you? But anyway, I think that would debunk it. And moreover than that, I think anybody who watched his work realistically, go back and you can watch some of the very interesting commentaries that he did on the daily news, and brought different insights, and wasn't any racism, was the truth. But really, there was great enthusiasm for his incredible ideas. He was a Mensa member, very smart individual, in a time when he could just be retired and just, sitting in a box, checking his stocks and just cashing it in from his Dilbert success. he decided to be a voice of reason when some of the mainstream news got a little sideways on different things, little whack out of whack on some of the things. I think you know what I'm talking about. But anyway, so that's my my Scott Adams story, and yeah, I would listen to and watch him probably every day or most days. I would watch him on 1.5 times speed because that's what he recommended. So he wouldn't be mad about me saying that. I would wait till the show's over and do a speed run through it. By the way, if you like me better on 1.5 times speed, you know, have at it. As long as you're getting something out of the show, that would be fine with me. All right, well, let's get on to the next story, and rest in peace, Scott Adams. He's up there doing his famous simultaneous sip. He used to do a simultaneous sip where he'd do, you know, a cup of mug or a glass, get your coffee. I like coffee, he would say. And he'd do the same thing to open the show every day. It was really kind of something else. And he was extremely funny. And I'd encourage you, I would say to you that in his last 6 months of his life, he did some of his best work. So go pick a show at random and watch it, or a show or two, and see how he kind of comments on the news and see if you don't like it. I saw some people saying I could watch him over and over forever. I don't know. There was a little bit of a current time, you know, to it. But on the other hand, he did a lot of what they called micro lessons, and he would teach different reframing techniques that you see when you watch it. A lot of it was news commentary in the moment, but it was also ideas that will stand the test of time, I believe. Story number 3 today. The Super Bowl entrants are set. Seahawks versus Patriots, advancing to the Super Bowl yesterday after their victories in the National Football League conference games. The Super Bowl set for February 8th in a classic matchup. Expect a massive viewership for this American institution. Football, ads, halftime shows, family, food, and friends. Number 2 story, Grok under EU scrutiny for AI-generated content. In the tech breaking news, the European Commission has opened a formal investigation into Musk's AI chatbot Grok and the platform under the Digital Services Act, focused on the AI's ability to generate manipulated images, including deepfakes of real people. Critics, including the EU regulators themselves, argue that the EU regulators say it causes risk of improperly portraying individuals. And Elon Musk says, well, these are just people putting in what they want to see, you know, on the tool. It's not an illegal tool. So maybe a free speech issue brewing, not just for Grok, but for, you know, Meta's AI and Gemini and all of the open, right? All the AIs. So the platform is under investigation because of its ability to generate manipulated images of real people, and that it could cause real harm to those people, which is a situation we got to work through. But there's also free speech people on the other side of that. Supporters like Musk's allies call it another overreach by the EU in the name of safety, framing it as censorship that stifles free speech and innovation, pointing out that Grok only generates what the users request and hasn't harmed anyone. Similar concerns have sparked other inquiries, and tensions on tech freedom of speech, you know, freedom of using the AI to depict, you know. On the one hand, you say, yeah, I want it to be able to do whatever I tell it to do, right? But then, you know, what if someone makes an image of you doing something horrible, and it could happen? They take your picture and edit it that way. So anyway, big discussion ahead. Story number 1 today, Alex Pretti and the War of Narratives. Our top story today is a powerful example of the, well, first of all, it's a tragedy, you know, to lose a life. And our thoughts and prayers are with the family of this shooting. But it's a classic example of the conflicting narratives in the modern news today, focusing on Alex Pretti. The media's portrayal has been dramatically split. One side paints him as mostly a peaceful protester, a nurse off work minding his own business, while another narrative claims he was there present with no ID, a handgun, and 2 clips. And it's a case that's trending because it perfectly highlights the challenge for viewers to decipher the news when the news outlets report 2 entirely different versions of the exact same incident. And that's one of the reasons I started this program. I found myself spending 2-3 hours trying to figure out what's going on in the news. And I thought, well, maybe somebody would enjoy a 5-minute distillation of what was really happening in the world to the best of my ability. And the best of my ability has taken us to about 15 minutes today, so I'll wrap us up. But I'm Joe Pelayo. That's your top 5 fast, factual, no filter news. Stay informed, keep the pace. And in today's encouraging word is most people tell you to remember where you came from, but I tell you to focus on where you're going. Success is the next step, not the last one. We'll see you tomorrow, friends.